The Shailendra dynasty was the name of a notable Indonesian dynasty that emerged in 8th century Java, whose reign marked a cultural renaissance in the region. The Shailendras were active promoters of Mahayana Buddhism and covered the Kedu plain of central Java with Buddhist monuments, one of which is the colossal stupa of Borobudur, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Shailendras are considered to be a thalassocracy in ruled maritime Southeast Asia. However, they also relied on agriculture pursuits through intensive rice cultivation on the Kedu plain of central Java. The dynasty appeared to be the ruling family of both the Medang kingdom of central Java for some period and Srivijaya in Sumatra. The inscriptions created by Shailendras uses 3 languages: Old Malay, Old Javanese and Sanskrit, written either in the Kawi alphabet or pre-Nagari script. The use of Old Malay has sparked the speculation of a Sumatran origin, a Srivijayan connection of this family. On the other hand, the use of Old Javanese suggests the firm political establishment on Java. The use of Sanskrit usually signifies the official nature and religious significance of the event written on the inscription. Origins. Although the rise of the Shailendras occurred in Kedu Plain in the Javanese heartland, their origin has been the subject of discussion. Apart from Java itself, an earlier homeland in Sumatra, India or Cambodia has been suggested. The latest studies apparently favor a native origin of the dynasty. Despite their connections with Srivijaya in Sumatra and Thai Malay Peninsula, the Shailendras were more likely of Javanese origin. India. According to Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, an Indian scholar, the Shailendra dynasty that established itself in the Indonesian archipelago originated from Kalinga in eastern India. This opinion is also shared by Nilokanta Sastry and J. L. Mones. Mones further describes that the Shailendras originated in India and established themselves in Palembang before the arrival of Srivijaya's to Punta Hyang Srivijaya in 683. The Shailendras moved to Java because of the pressure exerted by Punta Hyang and his troops. Cambodia. In 1934, the French scholar Coedes proposed a relation with the Funan kingdom in Cambodia. Coedes believed that the Funanese rulers used similar-sounding mountain lord titles, but several Cambodia specialists have discounted this. They hold there is no historical evidence for such titles in the Funan period. Sumatra. Other scholars hold that the expansion of Buddhist kingdom of Srivijaya was involved in the rise of the dynasty in Java. Supporters of this connection emphasize the shared Mahayana patronage, the intermarriages and the Liga inscription. Also the fact that some of Shailendra's inscriptions were written in Old Malay, which suggested Srivijaya Sumatran connections. The name Shailendra was first mentioned in Sojo Merto inscription as Depunta Shailendra. Depunta Shailendra is suggested as the ancestor of Shailendras. The title Depunta is similar to those of Srivijayan king Depunta Hyang Srivijaya, and the inscription, although discovered in central Java north coast, was written in Old Malay, which suggested the Sumatran origin, a Srivijayan connection to this family. Java. Another theory suggests that Shailendra was a native Javanese dynasty and the Sanjaya dynasty was actually a branch of the Shailendras, since Sri Sanjaya and his offspring belonged to the Shailendra family that were initially the Shaivist rulers of the Medang kingdom. The association of Shailendra with Mahayana Buddhism began after the conversion of Panarabana Panangkaran to Buddhism. This theory is based on the Karita Parahayangan, which tells of the ailing king Sanjaya ordering his son, Rakai Panarabana Panangkaran, to convert to Buddhism because the faith in Shiva was feared by the people in favor of the pacifist Buddhist faith. The conversion of Panangkaran to Buddhism also corresponds to the Raja Sankara inscription, which tells of a king named Sankara converting to Buddhism because his Shiva faith was feared by the people. Unfortunately, the Raja Sankara inscription is now missing. Shailendras in Java. The Shailendra rulers maintained cordial relations, including marriage alliances with Srivijaya in Sumatra. For instance, Samaragrawira married Dewi Tara, a daughter of Srivijaya and Maharaja Dharmasatu. The mutual alliance between the two kingdoms ensured that Srivijaya had no need to fear the emergence of a Javanese rival and that the Shailendra had access to the international market. Karong Tengger inscription dated 824 mentioned about King Samaratunga. His daughter named Pramodawardhani has inaugurated a Jinalaya, a sacred Buddhist sanctuary. The inscription also mentioned a sacred Buddhist building called Venuvana to place the cremated ashes of King Indra. The Tritepusan inscription dated 842 mentioned about the Sema lands awarded by Rekahulunan to ensure the funding and maintenance of a Kamulan, called Buma Sambara. Kamulan itself from the word mula, which means the place of origin, a sacred building to honor the ancestors. These findings suggested that either the ancestors of the Shailendras were originated from central Java, or is the sign that Shailendra have established the holds on Java. Kasparas suggested that Bhum Sambara Budara, which in Sanskrit means the mountain of combined virtues of the 10 stages of bodhisattvahood, was the original name of Borobudur. The received older version holds that the Shailendra dynasty existed next to the Sanjaya dynasty in Java. Much of the period was characterized by peaceful coexistence and cooperation, but towards the middle of the 9th century relations had deteriorated. Around 852 the Sanjaya ruler Pikatan had defeated Balaputra, the offspring of the Shailendra monarch Samaratunga and Princess Dara. This ended the Shailendra presence in Java, and Balaputra retreated to the Srivijaya kingdom in Sumatra, where he became the paramount ruler. Earlier historians, such as N.J. Krom and Coedes, tend to equate Samaragrawira and Samaratunga as the same person. However, later historians such as Slamet Mahayana equate Samaratunga with Rakai Garung, mentioned in Mentyasi inscription as 5th monarch of Mataram kingdom, which means Samaratunga was the successor of Samaragrawira and Balaputra, that is also Samaragrawira's son, is Samaratunga's younger brother and ruled in Suvarnadvipa, and he is not Samaratunga's son. This version holds Balaputra that reigned in Sumatra challenged the Pikatan Pramodawardhani legitimation in Java, arguing that his niece and her husband has less rights to rule Java compared to his Shailendras in Sumatra. After 824, there are no more references to the Shailendra house in the Javanese epigraphic record. Around 860 the name reappears in the Nalanda inscription in India. According to the text, the king Devapaladeva of Bengala had granted Balaputra, the king of Suvarnadvipa, the revenues of 5 villages to a Buddhist monastery near Bodh Gaya. Balaputra was styled a descendant from the Shailendra dynasty and grandson of the king of Java. From Sumatra, the Shailendras also maintained overseas relations with the Chola kingdom in southern India, as shown by several South Indian inscriptions. An 11th century inscription mentioned the grant of revenues to a local Buddhist sanctuary, built in 1005 by the king of the Srivijaya. In spite the relations were initially fairly cordial, hostilities had broken out in 1025. Rajendra Chola I, the emperor of the Chola dynasty, conquered some territories of the Shailendra dynasty in the 11th century. The devastation caused by Chola invasion of Srivijaya in 1025 marked the end of Shailendra family as the ruling dynasty in Sumatra. The last king of Shailendra dynasty, the Maharaja Sangrama Vijayavarman, was imprisoned and taken as hostage. Nevertheless, amity was re-established between the two states before the end of the 11th century. In 1090 a new charter was granted to the old Buddhist sanctuary. It is the last known inscription with a reference to the Shailendras. With the absence of legitimate successor, Shailendra dynasty seems ceased to rule. Other family within Srivijaya Mandala took over the throne. A new Maharaja named Srivijaya, according to Chinese source, establishing new dynasty to rule Srivijaya. He sent an embassy to the court of China in 1028 CE. Shailendras in Bali. Sri Kesari Warmadwi was said to be a Buddhist king of the Shailendra dynasty, leading a military expedition to establishing a Mahayana Buddhist government in Bali. In 914, he left a record of his endeavor in the Belanjon pillar in Sanur in Bali. According to this inscription, Warmadwi dynasty was probably the branch of Shailendras that ruled Bali. List of Shailendran rulers. Traditionally, the Shailendra period was viewed to span from the 8th to the 9th century, confined only in central Java, for the era of Panangkaran to Samaratunga. However, the recent interpretation suggests the longer period of Shailendra family might existed from mid-7th century to early 11th century. For certain period, Shailendras ruled both central Java and Sumatra. Their alliance and intermarriage with Srivijayan ruling family resulted with the merging of two royal houses. With Shailendran finally emerges the ruling family of both Srivijaya and Medang Mataram. Some historians tried to reconstruct the order and list of Shailendra rulers, although there is some disagreement on the list. Bochari tried to reconstruct the early stage of Shailendra based on Sojo Meto inscription, while other historians such as Slamet Mahayana and Poa Bajaraka tried to reconstruct the list of Shailendran king in middle and later period with the connections to Sanjaya and Srivijaya, based on inscriptions and Karita Parahyangan manuscript. However, there is some confusion occurred, because the Shailendra seems to rule many kingdoms, Kalinga, Medang and later Srivijaya. As the result, name of the same kings often overlapped and seems to rule these kingdoms simultaneously. The question mark signified outer speculation because of the scarcity of available valid sources.